Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day today. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the HRT ARC belt. Now, you might also notice here is a Porsche 981. It's a pretty fun little car. Now, this is not actually my car. I just rented it specifically for this video. Very quick, sounds good, fast, lightweight, rigid, all that sort of stuff. However, it's a convertible. It's not particularly versatile, and it's very expensive. I wonder if that will come into play later. Now, full disclosure on the belt, they did actually send it out to me for review, so I did not pay for it whatsoever. They also sent out the pouches for it, the inner belt, so basically the complete package of the belt. Almost everything on the belt other than the dump pouch and the holster is from HRT. Now, I suppose we should start out with construction and design. So the HRT ARC belt is basically a two-piece belt system. That's kind of like a four-piece belt system, if that makes sense. So starting out with your inner belt, you have, of course, a Velcro liner. This is going to go on your pants. This is going to add a lot of security. Now, this does not come with the belt. You have to buy this separately, or of course, there's a lot of these on the market, basically any sort of hook and loop Velcro. Now, their inner belt comes with a G-hook and with a little Velcro strap for adjusting the length. You get about 4 to 6 inches of adjustment, which for most people is going to be pretty forgiving. They also come in different sizes: small, medium, large, extra large. This one that I have here currently, this is a medium. Now, again, the inner belt from HRT does not ship with it. It is an optional add-on. However, it is absolutely not optional. You definitely need an inner belt of some sort. Otherwise, the belt system doesn't really work all that well, and it loses a lot of stability that it could have by having, again, a Velcro liner. Now, getting into the main belt itself, the base of the belt is this semi-rigid polymer material that is very, very lightweight, and that's going to kind of be the crux of the belt. Is HRT went through and cut as much weight as they could from as much areas as possible, while still retaining a good amount of rigidity and some usability, though we'll talk about that as we go on. Now, the polymer base is cut in 1.5 inch increments for your two Cordura sleeves that are, of course, laser cut MOLLE on the outside. So it is very adjustable when it comes to mounting your two sleeves, which is why it's kind of a four-piece belt. Now, getting into the two laser cut MOLLE sleeves that the belt does ship with, of course, we have one here on the left and then one on the right. They're about 10 inches of MOLLE, which will fit most of what you want on your belt. However, you will notice that there is some of the belt that does not have anything for mounting. You could, in theory, still get something in there through the notches on the belt. However, it's not going to be as nice as the laser cut MOLLE system. Now, on the website, HRT claims to have removed a lot of the dead space that you get with other laser cut MOLLE systems, where they have laser cut MOLLE all the way around the belt so that users can mount stuff wherever they want. And instead of having MOLLE dead space, what they've created is dead-er space, where you can't mount anything even if you wanted to. And that's a feature. Now, getting into adjustability, they also claim that this is the most adjustable belt on the market, because you can adjust each sleeve individually in 1.5 inch increments. You can also adjust each of the glides up front for the belt buckle. It doesn't come with a Cobra buckle. It comes with a G-hook. I had to steal this Cobra buckle off of one of my other belts. Now, technically, the ARC belt does have 4 ways to adjust it. However, I would prefer it just to have one good way to adjust it instead. Now, getting back to the sleeves for just a minute, they are, of course, covered on the inside with this Velcro hook and loop material that does fit very nicely with their inner belt. That's not included. However, when it is all installed and hooked up, it is very stable and very secure. That, on top of it being semi-rigid, means you do get a very stable mounting platform for all of your gear that you can fit on it. Of course, they do limit you on how much gear you can actually put on it, but you can still get, you know, probably for most people will be just fine. For some people, they might need to do a creative workaround to get all of their stuff mounted. Now that we have the belt on the workbench where you guys can get a good look at it by itself, we might as well go over the assembly process because it is a bit of a chore. Now, very nicely, HRT does have a 20-minute long installation video that goes very in depth. And if you're wondering how to assemble and do all that stuff, I very much so recommend watching that video, as it will save you quite a bit of time. For your first time doing this, you're probably going to take 1 to 2+ hours to get it all set up. But again, there is that very nice, very long assembly video because it is a bit of a chore. So let's go ahead and get rid of the inner belt here. So now that we have the belt off, the first thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that it's in the proper orientation. So this belt here only goes one way. Basically, it has a built-in curve to it so that it goes outwards. If you have it upside down, though, it will of course angle inwards towards you. So it does need to be done the right way. Otherwise, it will be much less comfortable. And that's just one of the downsides when you have this very rigid material, is it doesn't have a lot of flex. So if that's pushing into your sides, it's not going to be very comfortable. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that you have the belt orientated the proper way so that it angles away from you when it's installed versus, again, in towards you, which is going to be much less comfortable. Now, after that, you're going to want to, of course, install your 2 sleeves. The way that they lock into the belt is they both have a kind of a plastic insert here that locks into a slot. So again, you have slots in 1.5-inch increments, so you can move each one forward and back independently. No matter how you do it, though, you're going to end up with about anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of dead space in the back where you can't do anything with it. Theoretically, you can still weave stuff through here, but it's not going to be nice as the laser cut MOLLE. Now, one annoying thing about this is that, of course, to adjust the sleeves, you kind of need to take apart the belt system, which can be quite annoying. On top of that, on this side here, you may notice that I have the Alien Gear, their Rapid Force holster, which is a very decent holster. To switch this out to the Safariland, which I have over here, on just their QLS paddle here, or their belt loop, this belt loop is actually not thick enough to make it around this locking piece here, so I would actually need to take this off, if I can get it off, because again, this Velcro is very high quality Velcro, so I would need to take all this off, get this apart, so then I could somehow slide it through here and then reinstall it. So I was actually going to switch to the Safariland halfway through the review. I ended up not doing that just because it was going to be really annoying to do so. So as you can probably tell, the adjustments are not super quick or easy to do on the fly, so you need to take that off, that little retainer that does come with it to retain some of your excess. Then on the inside, you're going to need to push the wings back through. And now that it's detached, now you can move it forward or back. So if you wanted it to be a little bit more forward, and you feed your wings back through without breaking them, hopefully, because they are fairly brittle. There we go. Get them back through, wrap it down nice and tight. And now this one here has been moved forward 1.5 inches, depending on how you want to do it. Now again, you're going to need to repeat that process on the other side. In some ways, that is nice because the one advantage of that means that you don't need to adjust your MOLLE. You just attach the sleeve forward and back rather than taking off your each individual pouch and then moving it forward 1.5 inches or back 1.5 inches. You can adjust it entirely on the sleeve, which is nice. That is definitely nice. Unfortunately, it does make adjusting the belt, if somebody else is wearing it for whatever reason, it makes that process much worse. So it saves you some time in one regard and makes it much longer in another regard. So pick your poison there. Now, getting into the pouches a little bit, the pouches themselves, I have absolutely no complaints with whatsoever. They're very STAC Kiwi in their design. So you have a plastic inner that helps it to retain shape and have a good amount of retention on your magazine. These are their 5.56 magazines, so they also, I believe, have it in 308 as well. I'm not sure if they're doing AK magazines yet. So on the back, you see they have, of course, 2 lines of MOLLE for attaching to your laser cut MOLLE on this belt, or of course you could put these on any belt that you want. And very nice on the front as well. Not sure how well you guys can see it, but on the front, it also has MOLLE systems on here for attaching additional ones if you wanted to stack magazine pouches, if you wanted to run something else on the outside. you totally could do that. Now again, as far as I'm concerned, the plastic inner with the outer fabric sleeve is kind of the way to go. It gives you a very good blend of speed and retention, while also making it very easy to reindex your mags or whatever else that you're putting in here if you so desire. Now the nylon sleeve on the outside is held in place with these metal clips, and on top of that, it is also woven through the plastic liner on the inside right here, and then held in place with 2 more metal clips. So the plastic liner and the outer sleeve will never separate unless that's something that you really want to do, and you have to take apart these metal clips on the back, which would probably be pretty annoying. Now the pistol mags that they shipped with it have a very similar design, of course, just for double stack 9mm pistols. This is going to fit Glock mags and similar just fine. Now the one main difference is that the pistol mags are clean on the outside, whereas the rifle mags, of course, have the extra MOLLE slot. So if you did want to stack or attach something to the outside of your rifle mags, you can do so. With the pistol mags, you just have their very nice logo. And again, the retention is very good. These ones here are about like 70% coverage of the pistol mags and about 50% coverage depending on the length of your rifle mags that you're inserting. Very good retention, very good re-indexing capabilities. So as far as they're concerned, the pistol mags, the rifle mags are all just fine. What I'm not a huge fan of on at least the ones that they sent out are these plastic, I forget the actual material, but these straps that they include, they're fairly obnoxious to work with, and they are going to take quite a bit of time to weave through the MOLLE slots on the outside. And in fact, I did actually break one of them on the rifle mag, so this one here is actually just sitting here. Because again, I did break it, because these are a little brittle. So basically you're supposed to bend it and then weave it through, and this is fairly rigid. So again, weaving this through very, very tight laser cut MOLLE is very unpleasant. And so this is going to be one of those areas where you're going to want like a fine knife or a fine screwdriver and a pair of needle nose pliers, so that you can really get in there and weave it painstakingly through the MOLLE, so that when it is hooked up, it is nice, tight, and secure. But again, these straps are a little bit annoying. Now they also shipped out a 30-degree adapter for those ultra fast pistol 1R1 reload, so your front mag pouch is angled this way by like 30 degrees. That's fine and all, and I do recognize that I do a lot of 1R1s because they look good on camera. However, it's not really that important of a skill to actually have, and shaving like 0.1 seconds off by having one mag pouch angled a little bit doesn't really matter that much to me, and I prefer them to be a little bit tighter and not in front of me, more off to the side. Now, of course, when you go to put the belt on, you need to make sure that you're wearing their liner or any, again, Velcro liner. I don't really wear their liner just in like my regular day-to-day pants, as I tend to use something that's a little bit less rigid than this. I don't really find rigid belts all that comfortable to begin with, but maybe you do. And then, of course, another problem that I have with it, or a very minor gripe I would say, is that you have a lot of excess material here where it inserts. So how I do it is I run it through their little retaining sleeve, and then you have to bend to make sure that it doesn't get caught up right here, because if you just push it straight through, it's going to run into your sleeve. So you actually need to make sure that it bends away, and then you can insert it and get all that extra stuff wrapped around. And I could make it a little bit cleaner, get rid of some of these tails, but I just haven't gone through it to do there. And again, you have that extra few inches depending on how big you are, small you are, so on and so forth, where it's a little bit more annoying to get on and off. Again, other systems like the Condor LCS Cobra are very simple, because you simply wrap it around and push the button and it's done, right? And this one here is set up to go around a sweatshirt, so it doesn't matter what sort of pants I'm wearing, what coat I'm wearing, this is already set up and lengthened just to go around, versus this one here, if I wanted to do something like that, you would need to, either adjust your glides, adjust your sleeves, or something like that to make sure that it would accommodate a different set of pants, a coat, winter gear, or something like that. So talking about comfort and usability, because they kind of end up being the same thing on this belt. While it is a very rigid system that's fairly thin, it actually does a really good job of being comfortable. For instance, I am actually currently wearing the belt right now, Now, the way the belt is designed, the polymer main section of the belt that the sleeve's attached to is actually has a built-in curve so that it curves away from your body so that it doesn't pinch you or become uncomfortable, because of course that is a fairly rigid material. So if it's super stiff and biting into you, if it's angled towards your body, it's going to be a lot less comfortable. Now, the way that they've designed it, as long as you set it up properly and it moves away from your body, it's actually very comfortable. There's only really been a couple instances where it's been uncomfortable, and those have been literally laying sideways on the belt where you can sit on your holster or like a pouch or something, and then it pushes it to pinch into you. Only in a couple different scenarios has it really been uncomfortable. So, while I wouldn't say it's the most comfortable belt out there, they actually did a good job of making sure that it was still very usable and comfortable. It's not going to be quite as nice as your softer, larger two-piece paddle belts like the Condor LCS Cobra or really any of that style. I think the T-Rex Arm Orion is basically the exact same belt, but those are going to be a little bit more comfortable just because they're softer, they have more surface area, and they're much less rigid. While this is, less comfortable, it's certainly not what I would consider to be uncomfortable. And again, for a very lightweight system, it's not bad. Now, when it comes to usability for what I do, which is basically medical, dump pouch, holster, and then 2 pistol mags and a rifle mag, it has all of the space that I need. Now, even with that very basic range setup that I do in basically all of my belts, I'm still using probably 80 to 90% of the usable laser cut MOLLE. So again, for other people that need a lot more on their belt, well, this isn't going to be easy to get all that stuff on there. It may not be ideal, on top of the fact that it is slightly less comfortable than those other belts that are going to have a much larger surface area to disperse that weight, on top of having more areas to put stuff if you did need more stuff. So again, it's comfortable enough. It has enough room for a good chunk of people, but it's still not going to have that ultimate comfort and that ultimate modularity, adaptability, versatility that some of these other belts are just by its inherently limited design. Now, the reason that they did that, of course, is for that lightweight belt. It is extremely lightweight. It's going to be, in some cases, probably a pound lighter than other belts, especially if it's a really thick inner, 2.5-inch piece with a little bit of rubber backing on it so it sticks, and then an entire laser cut MOLLE system, plus a big heavy Cobra buckle up front. That might be 1 or 2 pounds, whereas this entire setup is coming well beneath that. So for certain people that don't need a lot of stuff, are trying to get something that is very lightweight, comfortable enough, while being a very stable, rigid platform, especially when it's combined with a Velcro inner belt, it is a very stable, very rigid platform, so drawing off of it feels very good. Mag swaps feel very good. When you get stuff set up properly with the laser cut MOLLE, that also works very well. So again, in terms of usability, rigidity, being a stable platform to hold what you need, I think it does a really good job. But again, you just can't get all that much stuff on there, and it's going to be slightly less comfortable than other options. So if you're searching for that lightweight package, and that's really your main concern with the ability to hold some stuff while still retaining a good level of comfort, this belt definitely does that. But for me, who's not necessarily chasing that ultimate lightweight setup, as just for range shooting and whatnot that I do I care if the belt, weighs 6 to 8 ounces lighter than this setup? Well, not really. I care about the fact that it's comfortable, because I do wear belts quite a bit. Upwards of, 20 hours a week I'll be in a belt for range shooting, for dry fire and whatnot, so I do care that it is comfortable. But I'm not going to be living in a belt or doing anything like that. And for what I do, I'm not hiking in it either, so I'm not necessarily worried about cutting off, 6 to 8 ounces and sacrificing some usability and some comfort for that ultimate lightweight. That's really going to be up to you if that sacrifice is worth it. things up with the HRT ARC belt, something that we really haven't talked about all that much is going to be price. Now, I am very much so a value guy. I like to get the most performance possible for the least amount of money usually. Now, the thing about American Nylon is, while this is an expensive belt, I believe with the belt, the inner, and the 4 pouches that they sent out, which we've all gone over, I believe it came to just under $300 without the buckle. Now, keep in mind, I didn't pay for it, but that was just on the itemized receipt that I got. So if I was gonna buy this belt and set it up this way, minus the holster and dump pouch, you know, you're looking at a little bit under 300 bucks, or probably right at 300 bucks with the Cobra buckle, which is my preferred way. G-hooks are secure, but they're not quite as fast or easy to get on and off, which when you have a belt like this, may be a feature that you want. So in my opinion, a Cobra buckle is the way to go. Now, while that is certainly not inexpensive, and in fact quite expensive for most people, myself included, it's not completely out of the norm for American nylon companies. You can get cheaper belts out there on the market that are American made, that come with inner liners and whatnot and all the stuff that you need for the mid 150s. Now, when you add pouches on top of that, you're probably looking for around $200 at a minimum. So while this is maybe a touch more expensive than some of the other, again, big name American manufacturers, unfortunately, all of them are fairly expensive. So when you're kitting out a belt like this with holsters and dump pouches and all the other accoutrements that you want, you can very, very easily get above $500, sometimes $600, $700, $800 as well, depending on how you set it up. Now, something that I used to run quite a bit and will probably go back to running after this video, this is the 2-piece Condor LCS Cobra. Now, Condor is kind of a meme brand, or at least it used to be in a lot of ways, making really cheap, crappy products. However, this Condor LCS Cobra that was actually gifted to me, I've used quite a bit. It's extremely comfortable, does use laser cut MOLLE, and of course, the Condor LCS Cobra does come with a Cobra buckle for $70 with the inner liner, and of course, you know, all the dead space MOLLE that you could actually attach stuff to if you so desired. Now, is it going to reach the same level of quality as a nice American-made nylon? No. Is it going to be as rigid? No. But again, it's going to depend on what you want. Now, a lot of my personal downsides with this belt are just that. They're going to be my opinions on how I use products, you know, because I'm not looking to shave as much weight as possible. I'm looking for something that's a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more usable, can flex into a variety of rules, easy to get on and off. This is one of those systems that is not, so it's really going to depend on what sort of feature set you're looking for in a belt. So at the end of the day, the HRT ARC belt is going to be one of those products that there are a lot of things that I do genuinely like about it, and I think it does well in terms of design, construction, so on and so forth. But there's also a lot of things that I genuinely dislike about the product from a design and performance standpoint. Now, again, those are going to be mostly tailored towards what I am looking for personally in a belt. If you are somebody who does not care about cost, who is looking for something that is ultimately lightweight, minimalistic, and rigid, I think that it could be one of the best options on the market. But if you're more into flexibility, cost per performance, a few other things, maybe more comfort side versus just the pure weight saving side, then there are probably other belts on the market to consider. But once again, that belt will probably be given away on my Subscribe Star, so go ahead and check it out. They actually paid for me to rent this Porsche for the video, which was fairly cool. So once again, before we end the video, I do want to say thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think of the HRT ARC belt in the comments down below. If there's any other sort of high-end nylon products that I should be checking out, as this is probably the second to last time that I will work with HRT. But with all that out of the way, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. Peace off.